What habit has changed your life?
Is that I got my prayer life in order.
So what's one principle you live by daily?
My biggest principle is to be a giver.
What's one thing people misunderstand about money?
People think that money is real.
Welcome to I'm Up, He Sees Me, I'm Down. Conversations on leadership, faith, and resilience with Mike Turner. This show is proudly sponsored by Alamo Tech and Mission Solution Partners.
Welcome to another episode of I'm Up, He Sees Me, I'm Down. I'm Mike Turner, and today we're talking with Albert Butler. He's a CPA, partner at his firm, and a thought leader focused on helping individuals and business owners build true clarity, not just in their finances, but in their lives. His work career is around the idea that you can't scale a business until you learn how to scale yourself. Beyond the numbers, Albert brings a deeper mission, helping people build legacy, govern their lives intentionally, and understand the true role money plays in the bigger picture. His perspective was shaped not just through his career, but through life experiences, including a major injury that forced him to slow down and ultimately lead him to write a book centered on truth, love, loss, success, and failures. Albert, welcome to the show. I'm so glad to be on here.
Mike, every time I have an intro, I really am surprised at all the great things people say, but you just knocked it out the park. I totally
thank you so much.
it, man. I actually have to pat myself on the back. That's some good stuff. So
That's not bad. Not bad at all.
hopefully I can back it all up. That's
Well, it's easy when it's all true. So
that's true. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for coming on the show. So, man, I finished your book. I loved it. It's right behind me. It's a great read. Any father that's trying to give advice to their children need to pick up that book. So
Yes.
obviously we'll talk about it. It's not necessarily the highlight of this podcast because I want to go a little bit, but there is some writings in it and stuff that I really think you'll exuberate into this podcast. So
Completely.
thanks again. Let's just kick this off and get started. So tell us a little about where you grew up and what shaped your life.
You know, Mike, I'll step back and tell you who Albert is today.
Okay.
You know, one thing about me, I'm very relentless, and I truly believe in once I get it going, I'm gonna get it. So I always try to stay focused from that perspective. On the same time, Mike, my wife will tell you that I need to get rest. My brain is always going, and I'm trying because I am relentless, but I need to get rest because I'm always up, especially with the work that I do, because I'm trying to scale and grow. That's for everybody. Everybody wants to scale and grow, scale and grow, scale and grow. But what does that really mean? And when you say it, do you really know what it really takes to be able to do that?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, for me, what it takes is support. I really need to have the support around me to be able to be Albert Butler, to be who I really am. And not just from support from all others trying to help me be who I am, but for me to be that support for those that are around me as well, too.
Yeah.
So that is the genesis and the beginning and the end and the current state of Albert. Now, where does it all come from? Well, I am originally from Louisiana, from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And growing up there, having a nucleus of a family that really believed in just that term itself, family. We have a strong family value system that my parents had to steward that was given to them by their parents. And having that lineage that's so strong and so connected is why I can sit here today and have these conversations with you. So I am very, very excited to share. I have some great stories for your audience, and hopefully everybody will be able to hear something that they can put in their toolkit and really use for their daily lives and have something that to help them go to the next level that they want to be at. So that's Albert in a nutshell, Mike.
All right. I mean, I love it because I love the family values because I really think that's very important. You know, it's ultimately, and whatever family means to you. I mean, it's just like you said, the support. So let's take a step back a little bit and talk a little bit about because I think if your family came a big part of this, but let's talk about your career journey a little bit. So let's start with your failures. Okay, we'll start with you failed the CPA exam. So let's talk a little bit about that first.
You want to talk about the biggest, if you want to call it monkey, gorilla, monster, dinosaur, whatever you want to put to it, throw it on your back times 10, because that's what it felt like going through that journey. There's a story behind it as well, Mike, and I want to go ahead. I want to share it.
Yeah.
When I was deciding what I wanted to do, and getting ready to go into college, I really did not know, honestly. And I can remember having a conversation with my mom and my dad over dinner one night and telling them that I was going to go ahead and do accounting. And my mother asked me why. Well, my parents owned a home health agency back then, and that agency had a CPA come in and do some consulting work. And I got a chance to sit down and talk with him, but I really got a chance to see how much they paid him, which was really
Yeah.
the extra piece of it. But it wasn't about the money for me then. It was really about the journey that I knew that a accounting career could actually take you on.
Yeah.
My dad made it a very, very pointed effort to sit us down, myself and my two sisters, on a monthly basis and walk through the family budget and understanding the ins and outs of what it took to run a household. And I
Yeah.
really, really take honor in that experience with him because it helped mold me in who I am today and understanding what's called the money cycle and realizing that there's effort in leads to effort out. Effort out leads
Mhm.
to effort in. It's the equivalent exchange that takes place. What you give is what you get. What you get is what you give on a consistent basis. So that is my real foundational journey and what has set me up to be able to have this conversation with you and to really tell everybody in your audience that, hey, you know what? If you decide it's what you really want to do, what you want to go for it, you can go for it. You can do it. But it all comes from somewhere, and that
Yeah.
environment around you is what's going to dictate that.
Well, and I love that your dad sat you down. I mean, I've never heard of a father figure sitting down with his children and being so transparent about, hey, this is what it takes to live. This is the grocery bill. This is food. This is, or
Yeah.
this is fuel. This is whatever. Like, it really does. I wish I would have done that, honestly, with my kids, because I think they would have had a new perspective on, maybe they would have understood better about me harping on turn the lights off. No one's even upstairs, whatever. But it's just and they're kids, whatever. But
Yeah.
I think it would have changed it. For me personally, I just wasn't given that, so I didn't give that to my kids. And
Yeah.
there was a cycle of that, not having that financial grasp of what it means to build financial freedom, have legacy, all that stuff. It wasn't until I was like 40 something years old I started preaching that to my kids. Like, they're already starting to become adults, but I missed some very early pieces of that, some molding that would have happened. Talk to me a little bit about that. How do you I mean, you wrote a book, obviously, which I mentioned earlier, but was that just the everything about what you teach your kids, or was this the book was the first step or the last step? Let's ask that.
Oh wow, that's a powerful question, Mike. It is
Yeah.
the intramural step. It is
Okay.
the in between. So this is interesting. I'm kind of glad you prefaced the question this way.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't talk about the in between.
Yeah.
They talk about where we started. They let you see where it ended, but they
Yeah.
never talk about what it took to get there.
Yeah.
The book talks about what it took me to get here.
Yeah.
It's my in between. And it's my story that I needed to tell my children because I can tell you something over and over and over again. You're going to remember small tidbits and pieces of that. But if I
Mhm.
write it down and I truly, truly put pen to paper and I truly put my love into put that in that pen to paper, you're going to have a reference point to go back to. And
Yeah.
that's really what I really wanted to do. My parents are no longer with us.
Yeah.
And when they passed, internally there was a paradigm shift that happened inside of me. Realizing that when my dad passed and my mom was still alive, I was always raised that the oldest son had the responsibility of taking care of mom.
Yeah.
And I stepped into that to take care of my mother. And when I said take care of my mother, then I realized how much my dad really took care of my mother,
Yeah.
and it meant a lot to me for her to even look to me to give her that. And I took honor in it. But then when she passed, Mike, I'll be very transparent with you and tell you that it's like losing your first love.
Yeah.
Mom is the one who, at least for me in my experience, was the first person to tell you I love you and truly meant it.
Yeah.
Truly, truly meant it. So having to tell her goodbye really, really moved me in a way to say, hey, you know what? My mother never had the chance. Well, I'm not going to say chance. She just never did write down her story.
Yeah.
In my book, the dedication is the eulogy that I gave at her funeral. And it's purely titled, You See the Glory, but you don't know the story.
Right.
And that is the what moved me to be in position to go ahead and put those words on paper as well too.
Yeah, I love that. I also lost both my parents early. I lost my mom, very early in my life. I guess I was probably 30, pushing the 30 or something. So she was, she was about, I guess, 50, 51, right about my age now, actually.
Yeah.
And so I lost her suddenly, brain aneurysm. So I didn't really get to have a last moment with her or anything that. Let me pivot a little bit because I want to talk a little bit about your dad. So one of the things that obviously your dad had a stroke and he was paralyzed, and it's in the book that way. But I think what kind of called out to me a little bit was that he couldn't speak for a whole year before he actually passed.
Right.
How did you communicate with him? How did you have those moments with him when he's not able to communicate with words anymore?
This is, man, shit, bite. It was truly eye movement. He couldn't talk.
Yeah. And
the last time that he and I actually interacted, we had a fight. And that's the type of stuff that stick with you for life.
Yeah.
After that incident, he and I arguing with each other, when we talked again over the phone, I was talking to my mom and she forced him to get on the phone to talk with me. And it was so short, to the point of me saying, "Hey, are you okay?" Oh, no, scratch that. He asked me if I was okay.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Yeah, I'm good." I said, "You good?" "Yeah, I'm good. Love you too." Mm-hmm. And this is the real hard part, at least from my experience. Those were the last words I heard from my father. It just happened to be the last words I heard from my mother too. Her last words, "I love you," was the last thing she said in the hospital room, and she said that to me. It was just her and I together. And that connection of being able to communicate with him when he couldn't talk no more, just knowing who he was as a person, if he liked something, didn't like something, because he was in there, but he couldn't speak. And he could, and in the early onsets of him having a stroke, he could only move part of his body.
Right.
So it was just truly eye movement. As he gradually was able to start maybe to write stuff a little bit on a pad,
right?
But still, he never spoke again. So this is the challenge I have for everybody in your audience, 100%. Those that you truly love, make sure you tell them.
Mean it. Say it often. Let them know it. It's so important. It's so important. So, you walk that line a little bit, and here you are. You've passed your CPA exam finally. You got through all that. You're now a CPA. You're kind of growing. How does that timeline? What part of that was it that did all this kind of fall together? So it kind of put me in that. Like, what was the timeline?
Yeah, I guess I'll put you in the real story. So this is I would say 2020. I'm sorry, not 2020. 2002, 2003 window of time that I'm going through. I'm struggling. I'm struggling with identity. I'm struggling with my career, the new career that I just started. I'm going through culture shock of what's expected of me from a performance perspective at work, and I'm young, so I'm also going through the culture shock of being a young man in Houston, Texas, of all places, all over the place, buckling down to study. I was at a firm at the time. Back then, they only gave the exam twice per year, and you were required to go take the exam until you was able to pass it.
Right.
Well, I went to go take the exam for the first time. As I'm taking the exam, tried my best to prepare, and as soon as I sit down and I pop that exam booklet open, and the very first question knocked me on my butt, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this was not anything that I studied."
Yeah.
I knew I was in for it then.
Yep. Yeah.
But I would tell you, I did not do well. Failed that time. But every failure is just a true setup for success.
Yeah.
And if, as a person, especially a young person, if you can identify that and realize that failure is just the next step to being successful, is the real critical piece. I got to a point, Mike, just full transparency with your audience as well. I was ready to change careers because I felt like I was never going to be able to pass.
Yeah.
And
you even question it, right? You paid extra money to have them retest it because you thought you were so close and you should have had it that time, and they come back with the same results.
Same result. If you want to talk about a gut punch,
then I'm like,
you know what? maybe this isn't for me.
Yeah.
And the hard part about that is that you don't fail until you stop.
Yeah.
And I could not grasp that in that moment because I had so much doubt sitting on my shoulders. And, I'm a pretty intelligent guy. I kind of know what I'm doing a little bit and still getting slapped in the face over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It can be hard to pull yourself back up to go and do it again. But I had to realize and dust myself off that this is going to be for me. If it's something that I really, really want, there's nothing that's going to stop me. I literally wear a wristband that says I can because I will. That's the real main quote of the entire book. I can because I will. And your willpower has to be what's going to be what's there for you, because nobody can beat you but you, Mike. That's the truth.
No,
nobody
absolutely.
can beat you but you.
Yeah, you don't lose until you stop,
That's
you
it.
know. And I can tell you, a lot of times, this is my perspective on stuff. If it's hard, then that means it's worth it.
That's it.
Like, if it's that hard, then something in our something out there is trying to keep you from doing stuff. That's the way I look at it. From a spiritual standpoint, I look at it from like that. Like, the devil's trying to keep you from doing this, because it means that much.
That's
so that
right.
should incentivize you more to even push through it.
So that term doubt, anxiety, burnout, frustration, all those things sit on your shoulder and whisper into your ear.
Yep.
It's not for you. You don't need this. You can be doing something else. You should stop. You should stop. Make it shut up and knock it off your shoulder and keep pushing through.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to get the right mind. You have to get that right mindset on stuff and understand once you do that, the world opens up for you. I mean, things start to happen. You still got to put in the work. Don't get me wrong, but things start happening for you, and they happen quickly. Let's put the timeline together. So you had this major life issue. You had an Achilles injury.
Right.
When did that happen?
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot to unpack in that, because it wasn't even just a one injury. It was a timeline of events. Things just started to physically happen to you. It's interesting, Mike, and I hope we can resonate on this piece.
Yeah.
Life really happens between the age of 40 and 60. That's real life.
Yeah.
When you think about it. When you were early as a kid, from 0 to 10, hey, you just poof, I'm a kid. From 11 to 20, I'm invincible. I'm just figuring it out. I'm doing wild, crazy stuff. From 20 to 30, you still are trying to figure life out, having fun, making mistakes, all the above. Then you become 30, and then you kind of say, you know what, I got to get myself together. Then all of a sudden 40 comes. These things start happening at 40, Mike. You may or may not, your parents either getting ill or they're leaving you. Your children are starting to age out. They're either getting ready to leave the home in some form, way, or fashion and start their own lives.
Right.
You may be making the most money you ever made in your life at that moment, in that window of time, or you may be starting over with a whole new thing to do in life. Here's the next one. Something physically starts happening to you. You get a bad report from the doctor, and all of a sudden I got to do something different in my life. These are the things that happen between the age of 40 and 60. And because those things happen, that's when real life takes place. You need to be prepared, because if you're not prepared for it, they will knock you out.
Yeah.
They will truly knock you out and take you off the playing board. So for me, in that window of time, I got a son who's in college now. I've changed into my own practice now. I've had my own physical issue to happen to me. I lose both my parents. Life.
Yeah.
Mike, life is turbulent.
Yeah.
Life is turbulent. And there's no way in scripture that it ever says it's going to be easy. There's no way in scripture where it ever says you're going to be happy. It's not in there.
Yeah.
What it does say is that you will have struggles. You will have trials. And this is what how to anchor you to get through those struggles and trials. But here's the blessing of it all, Mike. If you never had to struggle, you would never know what success feels like.
Yep. That's true.
That's the real blessing.
Yeah. And the struggles is where the growth happens.
The journey. That's the real piece of it.
Yeah.
Again, back the in between. It's the in between.
Yeah. So you have this Achilles injury, and it left you unable to walk for months. So what was that season like, you mentally and emotionally?
Oh wow. When I tore my Achilles so bad, it literally ripped from the bone. And the doctors told me, they said, hey, this one is interesting because Achilles injuries, they happen in between, whether in between the Achilles down, but at the bone is when it gets a little bit special. Now we got to pull it back down and reattach it to the bone. So we're going to drill holes into the bottom of your foot and then pull your Achilles down into it to reattach it. It's pretty serious surgery that's going to leave you laid up for a while. I'm like, okay. I wake up and I'm in pain and I can't go, I can't move. And my wife and my children, it's funny because I'm sitting on the couch all day, all night.
It's just where you're at.
This is where I'm at. And I'm seeing them come and go, with the same time taking pain pills along the way too. But I'm seeing them come and go. I'm like, hey guys, can y'all come sit down and come talk to me?
Yeah. Yeah. They're just living life.
They're just living life. So it's a blessing at the same time, because it gave me the opportunity that I had always said that for this particular project of this book, I had always been writing these quotes, aphorisms, and sayings down for all these years, that it gave me a chance to say, hey, you know what? Let me actually get it together. Let me get this thing bound. My son at the time was getting ready to graduate from high school, and I wanted to have it prepared and ready for him before he graduated. So the version you have behind you is not the version that I gave to him, because that's all nice and professional and pretty. The version I had to do for him was a little bit more crude, but at the same time, it's something that's very, very special. By the time he got ready to graduate, I was able to present it to him, and he literally shed a tear. So that made it all worth it. And truth be told, I would go through it all again for that moment. And when I presented it to him, he shed a tear. That it made
because
so much.
The blessing that came out of that, as hard as it was this well-written book that it goes to really to the core of what we're trying to get instilled in our own children. So it was really, really well done. Thank you. Thank you for putting that out there in this world. So you talk a lot about clarity and self-governance. So you talk about that in the book. What does that actually look like in real life?
Wow. Now we're going to get into some of the real life preaching that I do.
Yeah.
And I'm going to wind it back a little bit more and lay it this way. In every aspect of what we do, in every aspect of how the world works and how even the planet and the universe, everything is trying to find balance. And in balance, you find clarity. Well, what gives you that balance? Well, understanding, information, and understanding. The information comes from what I call these 5 senses that God gave you. You're absorbing raw data on a consistent basis that's coming inside of you, and you have to understand how to use your own leveling system to use that data. Well, that data is going inside of you, is going into your mind, going into your soul, going into your spirit, and you have to be able to navigate what are you going to do with that. Well, that's baked into your moral values of who you are as a person.
Right.
So 100%, it's very, very something that's a learned behavior over time, to be able to absorb the right things and block out all the noise that happens and only receive in the data that's going to bring you to the signal that you actually have for what you're trying to accomplish and do.
And so what emotional barriers do you see holding people back the most? So we're all trying to receive this information, but there's blockers. Some of us get that information and we act on it. Others of us just let that go through us.
I would tell you that a lot of us don't have systems in our lives, and not having a system, you are randomizing life. Systems create consistency. Systems allow you not to worry about true motivation either, because the system is going to kick in for you no matter what. Where's that system? Well, that system starts in your mind, that you actually really want it. What you think is what you say. What you say is what you do. What you do is the habit. That habit is the system, and that system is going to be something that's used as the molding of the character, the person that you actually are. And that character is going to beget success or failures. Those are the results that come into it. And you get to navigate how you're going to take those results and use them for the next opportunity that's in front of you. So it's interesting that being able to have those systems in our life to help govern what we do gives us a level of consistency that we can actually perform for them and monitor for to make things better.
Oh, I love that. That's, you talk a little bit about that too in the book, is about habits and stuff. And you've mentioned that, like, you got to build those habits, and those habits, said something like 1,000 times, and it's like 10,000 hours to actually become a subject matter expert. That resonated with me, because I'm like, lots of people call themselves an expert, but I don't know 100% know if they put 10,000 hours in anything.
Think about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, think about what you do and how long it took you to be as great as you are.
Yeah.
You have to put energy into it. You got to put focus into it. You got to be consistent with a level of discipline applied to it with a system that can yield you the result that you're trying to get. We talked earlier about me passing the exam. You know why I failed, Mike? I didn't have a system. Literally, I just was trying to go study and go take it. It wasn't working. It wasn't until I put a system in place. When I put that system in place, man, I started knocking those exams out. And I saw
and you scored 30% higher after the fact.
Right.
So, it's obviously a big change going from one test to the next.
Exactly right.
Yeah, system absolutely makes a difference. So faith, values, and a belief system. So is that your system? Is what, well, let me ask you this. A lot of what you talk about, legacy, governance, intentional living, comes from a deeper belief system. Where does that come from for you?
Well, my anchor is in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That is the real thing. And I have to advocate that over and over and over again because I'm not perfect, nor do I claim to be perfect. I will make mistakes. I will not have all the answers. And I mentioned earlier, my mom and dad, they're gone. I don't have that reference point like I used to have. I have to get on my knees and pray. I have to stand in the mirror and look back in the mirror and see this reflection coming back at me and say, and tell myself and pray up, say, Lord, is your will, and give that level of surrenderance to that. Proverbs 13:22 is a very powerful scripture that says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. So everything that I do and everything I talk about and I share is not for me. It's not even for my children. It's for my children's children. It's for the people that I haven't even met, that I probably won't ever even see. It's for them. It's my duty. It's my responsibility and an obligation that I actually have, that I take honor in that, because my great grandfather had that responsibility. And if he did not do what he had to do, Mike, we would not be having this conversation right now.
Absolutely.
So that's what it's all about.
Yeah. You mentioned something, and I wanted to touch on this: the 5 muscles of enterprise. Can you walk us through that real quick? Because I think that kind of leads into this leadership and these frameworks.
So this is the powerful piece, Mike, and I want everybody in your audience to go ahead and get your notepad out. It's time to take some notes. Here we go. Right. In every organization, be it the largest of corporate organizations to the smallest mom and pop grocery store, to the local church, to the household, there's 5 muscles of enterprise. What are those 5 muscles? Leadership is muscle number 1. Operations, muscle number 2. Number 3, sales. 4, IT infrastructure. And 5, accounting, the heartbeat of all of it. Mm-hmm. Mike, if you can imagine the human body and how your ideas are formulated, where they come from your mind. Right. That information is going to go down into your feet to get you moving. That's your operations. That's your production. Production is going to get you moving, and then it's going to send a signal back up that now you got to give all that information to the world. How are you going to give it? You're going to give it with your hands. That's your sales function. Mm-hmm. And what are you giving? Well, it's the data flow inside of you, that vascular system inside of you, that data, information back and forth. But where does it stop? If the thought comes from the mind, it goes down to the middle. From the middle, it goes down to the bottom. From the bottom, it comes back up to the middle, back out to the hands, and back into the middle, and then back up again. In the middle is the heart. Everything happens with that heartbeat. In the middle is accounting. Accounting is that heartbeat that keeps everything going, because the accounting tells the past, it tells the present, and it tells the future. It tells the past by financial reporting and that old tax return that you have to file. Yep. It tells the present by the treasury function. You got to know how much money you have in the bank. You got to have a relationship with your bankers. You got to have working capital to keep going. And it tells the future with financial planning and analysis. You got to do a budget. You got to go, and you got to compare that budget to your actual. And you got to be able to tell the world what you actually did and how great you actually are. Past, present, future, accounting, the heartbeat in the middle of all of it. And those 5 muscles, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you got to be able to flex those 5 muscles consistently. Why? Because when you start off, it's just you. You need to understand leadership. You need to understand operations, sales, IT, and accounting. You got to know something about a little bit of it. Here's the special part, though, Mike. You got to know what you don't know. And what you don't know, you got to go find the best advisors to be able to give it to you. So you might be great at leadership, but you might be terrible at operations. It means you got to go get somebody who understands operations. You need a COO. You need that person. You might be great, but you might not know nothing about sales. You need to get you a VP of sales, somebody who knows how to go out there and make things happen. You might be wonderful, but you know nothing about IT. So if you don't get somebody who can be your CIO, you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
You might know all these things, but know nothing about accounting. You need a CFO. You need a CPA. You need that person who can actually tell you all these things. You got to have those advisors in place. But if you don't flex those muscles, that means you don't know how to ask the right questions, and you won't have clarity and won't get a response from these advisors that are coming in. So every entrepreneur, every business owner who was trying to scale, you need to be able to at least understand something about these 5 muscles, and then go out to find the experts to make you better.
Love that. That's exactly. I mean, just work those muscles, man. I'm telling you, it's like you put it together. They're just perfect, because I think every industry, any company that's doing it right, you can tell they're doing it right because all of those pieces are working together. And you're saying, and I love it. You say it like a muscle, because our muscles in your body, or it's parts of your body. I think that works so well because that really does need to flow in like one piece, one together organism, or one together, organization. So I think that's perfect. So we got to, when we've talked before, one of the things we talked a little about was, and I think this is on a lot of people's minds, is AI. And I think we hit a pretty interesting angle on it. So we've got to talk about AI and what's happening right now. So because both of us are seeing it from different angles, what are you seeing in your industry with AI right now?
What's wonderful about AI is that the same thing that was wonderful about the wheel, the same thing that was wonderful about when the first hammer was created. It is truly a tool to evolve the human species to the next level. I encourage everyone in your audience, do not be afraid of AI.
Yeah.
Embrace AI. It will make you better. It will allow you to be more productive. It will allow you to function better. Here's where the rubber meets the road. Understanding functionality versus vitality. AI allows for function, but there is no vitality to it. Why? Because we are the thinkers. We are the creators. We are the producers. You have to be able to understand all of these 5 muscles before you sit back and let a tool try to tell you what the 5 muscles are supposed to do,
right?
Because it can tell you something wrong too.
Yeah.
So I highly advocate flex your muscles, but embrace AI in the process of flexing those muscles, because AI is not going nowhere, and it just can only make you better.
Yeah. And I highlight the point where it's going to tell you pretty much what it thinks is the right answer, and it's going to tell you with absolute confidence that's the right answer.
That's right.
And I think this is where your muscle comes in to tell it, yeah, no, I don't think you're right on this. I got a little experience on this, or I got some know-how. I don't think you're right, and it will correct.
It will, and it'll say, hey, you know what, you're right.
You're right, absolutely right on that. This is probably not the right way to go, or whatever. So interesting, man. So we've hit that part where I ask you some quick fire questions. So a lot of my guests, I think it's really interesting to get your responses on these, and they really resonate well with my audience. So let me hit you with the first one. What habit has changed your life?
Wow. I would say the biggest habit is that I got my prayer life in order. I will tell you completely, I have a framework called Plan, Act, Review. And in that same framework, for me personally, a part of that is when part of my plan every single day is to get up and pray. My dad would tell me all the time, son, in the morning, you need to read at least one proverb. That's going to set you up for success. Before you go to bed, read at least one psalm. That's going to give you the prayer that you need, that David gave on a consistent basis. So that habit has been one that has changed my life the most.
Proverb or psalm. I love it. So what's one principle you live by daily?
My biggest principle is to be a giver. Give, and have the level of abundance in my giving. I don't try to hold back. Even with these conversations like this, Mike, I am just pouring myself out with everything that I know, because I want people to have my experience as well too, to make them better.
Love that. What advice do you give most often to clients?
Oh, wow, so much. So many of them. But the biggest one is to make sure that you have a solid CPA on your side.
Okay. That's fair.
And I'm glad you actually said that, because I'm required to do this. I am not your CPA because we don't have a contract. If we had a contract, then that'd be a different conversation. But I'm just a guy that's on a podcast right now. So whatever I tell you, that's you just listen to this for educational purposes only.
I love that. Yeah, you got to put that out there, don't you?
Got to put it out there.
Oh, yeah. What does success mean to you now?
Wow. I just had this question previously. And for me, success is for me to live a life that when I get ready to close my eyes and I move on to the next life, I am not having any regrets. That's 100%.
That is that's deep. That's okay. What's one thing people misunderstand about money?
People think that money is real. It's not. Yeah. Money's not real, everybody. Money is our US dollar. If you read it, it says note. That's it. It is a promissory note. It's something that you and I might agree that's worth something. Money's not real. So don't do what you do for money. Do what you do for purpose. 100%.
Well, we've hit that part of the show. So if someone's listening and feels stuck in their career or leadership journey, what's the first step they should take?
Well, I'm a believer in having an anchor. You need to find your anchor. Again, mine is the scripture. I'm not telling you that has to be yours, but you need to find your anchor because you're not expected to know it all, but you need something to lean on.
You need a foundation to begin with. You need something, a system, a framework, a foundation. You need to get that. If you're just randomly doing stuff, you're going to end up failing until you find that. Where can people connect with you?
Mike, AlbertButler.com. You can always come to AlbertButler.com, but you can just Google Albert Butler CPA, and you're going to probably find 3 pages of stuff that's out there. I'm on all the social media platforms, so by all means, if you want to connect with me, I'm not hard to find, and I'm here to help.
And they can get your book on...
It's on Amazon. All versions is ebook, audiobook, paperback, hardcover. It's all on there. And here's what I made very, very special for everybody. The book is only 99 cents for the ebook. I want to get the word out there. I don't want to have any excuses for you not getting it. It's only 99 cents for the ebook. So go ahead and go grab your copy.
Yeah. Albert, thank you so much for being on my show. It was a real pleasure. I love your insight. I love your take on just finances. And you're not my traditional CPA. Right. You are definitely a guy who you want to talk to. So it's really, really a pleasure and blessing to have you on my show.
Mike, thank you so much. If I could just leave your audience with one thing before I go, everybody understand that accounting is the heartbeat of business, but it's also the key to personal finance success. Yeah. Know your numbers and you will have clarity to make decisions for your betterment and for your family.
Yeah, and I will add that you have freedom.
Yes, that's exactly.
A level of freedom that you're just not accustomed to right now if you're not doing it. So I'll leave that for the guests. Audience, thank you very much for joining us on another episode of I'm Up, He Sees Me, I'm Down. If you would, please share this. If you found it valuable, share it with those that really need to hear this message. Again, thanks a lot. Bye.
Awesome.
Thanks for listening to I'm Up, He Sees Me, I'm Down. Follow the show for more conversations on leadership, faith, and resilience. Sponsored by Alamo Tech and Mission Solution Partners.